Hello everyone and welcome to Muhammad Mondays, where we cover stories from the extraordinary life of Muhammad. This week, I figured we could talk about Muhammad's favorite child bride, Aisha, who just so happened to be 6 years old when they got married. Now of course, I can already feel the Muslims buttering up their fingers and getting ready to comment, but wait, Muhammad didn't consummate the marriage until she was 9. So to save you the trouble, and to keep you from looking really foolish, you might want to wait until the end of the video to comment, because Aisha being 6 or 9 is actually the least disgusting part of the story. Stick around and you'll see what I mean. This may be the most uncomfortable video I've ever done, so viewer discretion is advised. The contents found at the end of this video are truly disturbing. So to begin, I want to give everyone who isn't familiar with the story some background. Muhammad was well into his 50s when he married Aisha, who was only 6. If you want sources, don't worry, there is really an endless supply of them, and I'll put them in the description if you want to check them out on your own. It's basically an undisputed fact at this point that he married her at 6 and consummated the marriage at 9. Any Muslim that wants to deny this has to throw away just about every hadith. So with that out of the way, everyone should also know that Allah sanctioned this marriage as Muhammad and Aisha both had dreams that it should happen. Keep that in mind because it means Allah is really cool with grown men marrying children. So let's read the touching story from the day the marriage was consummated, just so everyone is on the same page, before we get into the far more disturbing side of things. Small preparations were made for the wedding. Not enough at any rate for Aisha to have had a sense of the great and solemn occasion, and shortly before they were due to leave the house, she had slipped out into the courtyard to play with her passing friend. In her own words, "I was playing on a seesaw, and my long streaming hair was disheveled. They came and took me from my play and made me ready." Al-Bukhari, Aisha's father, had bought some fine red-stripped cloth from Byron, and it had been made into a wedding dress for her. In this, they now clothed her. Then her mother took her to the newly built house where some women of her helpers were waiting for her outside the door. They greeted her with the words, "For good and for happiness, may all be well," and led her into the presence of the Prophet. He stood there smiling and combed her hair and decked her with ornaments. Unlike his other marriages, at this there was no wedding feast. Then they all went their own way, and the bridegroom and the bride were left together. So just imagine the scene in your head. We have a 9-year-old girl being brought to a 50-year-old man to be married, all with the approval of her parents, and Allah, and most certainly Muhammad. This is the kind of prophet we are dealing with. I always ask the Muslim women I talk to, would you be okay with your 9-year-old daughter marrying a 50-year-old? Pretty much every single one will say no, but they make exceptions for their prophet. But all of this is really besides the point. We are here to talk about Muhammad, and some of the really disturbing things that he did to Aisha. So remember how all Muslims will be quick to say that Muhammad waited until she was 9 to consummate the marriage? Well, they're partially right, but Muhammad didn't just marry her at 6 and leave her alone. Oh no, there's much more that occurred. Now I am honestly uncomfortable talking about this, so I'm going to just read the sources and you can do with the information whatever you want. Muhammad partook in an activity called thighing with Aisha. If you aren't sure what that is based on the name, don't worry, it will be clarified soon. This is a ruling that was given concerning Islamic law in reference to the act of thighing. The question presented was, it has become widespread these days, and especially during weddings, the habit of placing the male member between the thighs of the children. What is the opinion of scholars, knowing full well that the Prophet, the peace and prayer of Allah be upon him, also practiced the thighing of Aisha, the mother of believers? May Allah be pleased with her. After the committee studied the issue, they gave the following reply. It has not been the practice of the Muslims throughout the centuries to resort to this unlawful practice that has come to our countries from pornographic movies that the infidels and enemies of Islam send. As for the Prophet, peace and prayer of Allah be upon him, thighing his fiancée Aisha, she was 6 years of age and he could not have intercourse with her due to her small age. That is why the Prophet, peace and prayer of Allah be upon him, placed his male member between her thighs and massaged it softly, as the Apostle of Allah had control of his male member, not like other believers. Okay, like I said, this is making me really uncomfortable just reading, but this is the scholars themselves admitting Muhammad did this with Aisha when she was only 6. So are Muslims right in saying that Muhammad waited until Aisha was 9 to consummate the marriage? Technically, yes. But morally, no. But it gets even worse than that. Let me read you a quote from the founder of the Islamic Republic of Iran, who wrote of this practice regarding its use with prepubescent children. Ruling number 12. It is not permission to have intercourse before her being 9 years old, be it in permanent marriage or temporary marriage. And as for all other pleasures, such as lustful touching, embracing, and thighing, there is no problem in it, even with a suckling infant. I literally can't read this. It's literally just describing molesting children, and that it's okay to do with even children who are still suckling from their mothers. Because honestly, Muhammad did it, so they can't say there's anything wrong with it. And the age for marriage is set at 9, because that's the age that Muhammad consummated the marriage with Aisha. So, you just judge for yourselves. I don't really even have much to say about this. This is just the information that is presented to me. You can do with it whatever you want, but this is what is taught in Islam. That you can marry a 9-year-old, and that you can molest children that are even suckling babies. It's just, I literally have no words for it. It's like, it makes sense that Dante put Muhammad in the 9th circle of hell. That's all I can say. I honestly just want to beg people, just abandon this demonic prophet. There is no good found in this religion anymore. Just abandon him completely and repent, honestly. Repent and believe the gospel.